Hi, this is Joe Speaks Truth. Just 3 years ago, New York City was placed under the harshest lockdowns out of the whole country. While things seem that they're going back to normal, I want to invite you all to listen to the untold stories of the many New Yorkers that had to survive lockdowns and vaccine mandates.
Hello everyone, this is Joe Speaks Truth, and today with me I have Arlene, who is the CEO and founder of Molding Minds Academy. How are you doing today, Arlene?
I'm great. Thank you for having me here today.
I'm excited to have Arlene here today because Arlene decided to have her own school because, as we can see, the government-run institutions are no longer trustworthy, and that's something that's been happening for many, many years, but it's right in our faces now, and it's something that a lot of the parents can no longer ignore, and we definitely need a different alternative, and that's the reason why I have her here today. Arlene, so let me ask you, how was your family life and career life before the year 2020?
So before 2020, I was a wife, I was a mother of one, and I was a teacher for District 75 in the DOE.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So you would definitely know that for sure, given that you were inside the school system, that the school system is no longer sustainable. It's out of control. We seen that they removed the religious exemption in 2019, which resulted in about 20,000 students being removed from the school system. And then we had the lockdowns and then the mask mandates. And then children were not even able to even participate in sports and other activities inside the schools because of the vaccine mandates. And I was fired because of that. Mm-hmm. So, but let me ask you, I know that you had your son was vaccine injured and you said that you helped him detox. I had someone we did the live together that was curious as to what protocol that you use. Can you talk to us about the protocol and the process of helping your child detox because of the vaccine injury?
Yeah, so Grayson was partially vaccinated, and then we went with the whole route of doing the religious exemption. So like you said, in 2019, when they took us away from doing what we wanted to do, I automatically resigned from my position in the DOE, and I decided to stay home and tutor my children. And that's when I started to notice a whole speech delay in my son when he took his last shot to go into the DOE. And we did Epsom salt, and we used something that was a spray and a drop that we would have to put into his water 3 times a day, which was called PBX zeolite. And what that does is removes all toxins and metals from the body. That was very important for us to do because we did lots of research. We YouTubed, we spoke to several different families that were going through the same thing with their children that were vaccinated. We cleansed his body, we changed his diet, we took away lots of processed foods, which a lot of children are still eating every single day, all day. We went the whole non-dairy route. Once we started doing this, after 2 months, my son, who had a speech delay, was speaking full-blown sentences, expressing himself. And today, he's now in the 4th grade on a 6th grade reading and math level.
Wow, that's amazing and impressive. And I know that a lot of the parents are scared to take their children out of the public school system. But if Arlene did it, you guys can do it as well. Not only did she do it as far as like homeschooling, she's now the CEO and founder of her own academy. So honestly, there's really no excuse, especially if you don't fight for your children. Who else is going to do it, right?
Yes, 100%.
So,
what parents are not realizing is they are in charge of their children. Not the government, not a principal, not a teacher. They try to scare you and say they're going to call ACS and they're going to call people to come to your home, which I had several parents go through that once they decided to come to Molding Minds Academy. And at the end of the day, they had no right over their children. So you are in charge of your children.
Right. I think, you know what it is? I think it's a lack of education. And when I mention the word education, I want to emphasize that I'm not talking about having a college degree because outside education, in my opinion, it can be worth more than any college degree that you can have, right? Because you can have a degree or a master's or whatever, but you might be incapable of navigating the real world. And when you're presented with an issue like the one that you were presented, I don't think the college degree had anything to do with that. It was just you thinking outside the box. It was just you being a protective mom that you felt like I need to do something for my son, and you did it. And there was no excuse, and you just made it happen.
100%. A lot of parents feel that they need to have a master's degree. They need to have a PhD to teach their children. No, you need a GED. That's what you need. And anyone can homeschool their child. Anyone, as long as you have the materials that you need. You can unschool your child. You don't have to go the route that the DOE is going. In my school, we are doing unschooling and we're using a curriculum depending on what the parent wants to do. You don't need a degree to homeschool.
Right, exactly. And I know you said that the reason why I want to get to like the backstory of how people were able to find you, because I know you said that you had like a video of you helping your son, and people saw that and then they were curious and started asking you how you're able to help your children, or your child, should I say, with reading. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, sure. So I was a mom at the time of 3. So I had my twins that were 1 year old, and I had my son who was in the first grade, so 6 years old. And I will post videos of him reading every day just to show, I guess I miss teaching inside the schools and I miss showing what I was capable of doing. It wasn't because I had a degree, it's because I'm really good at what I do.
Right.
So I loved showing how my son was 6 years old and speaking, using very large words, reading on a very high level, and I wanted to show him off a little. I had a high school friend that was always like reposting me, and then next thing you know it, parents were contacting me and telling me, hey, my son or daughter is behind in reading and math, can you help us out? So this is when the whole pandemic was happening, and then I decided to open up my home. I didn't have children wearing masks in my home. I was against that. So they would come over and I would tutor them in my dining room, and the next thing you know it, my dining room grew into a studio, from a studio into a location, and now we're opening our second location.
Wow, that's amazing. You see, it all started with one simple video, and now you're having different locations open. So let me ask you, what is so different? What is the difference between the DOE schools and your academy? What do you offer that parents should feel like, okay, well, let me go check out Arlene's academy?
The main thing about my academy is we are free. Children can learn as they want to learn. In the DOE, you have to sit at a desk. You have to do everything that, like if a teacher says, take out your paper and pencil, you have to do exactly what the teacher says, like how you are in prison. That's how I call the DOE. It's like being within prison walls. They have to eat at a certain time. They have to do what everyone else is doing. In my school, if we're doing ELA, we're doing reading and writing, and a child is not ready, they're able to go do a sensory bend. They're able to go do art before they're good and ready to do it. It doesn't mean that they're taking control of the class. It just means it's on their timing. A lot of teachers want to make the student do something, or no, you have to sit like this and you have to sit like that. Within my school, it's very inclusion. I have children that are on the spectrum mixed with general ed children. So I have nonverbal children and children who are verbal. And I can give a very big testimony to say that I had at least 3 students started in my school, nonverbal, are now all speaking. Coming from the DOE, people saying, oh, my child is mute. My child only can use a certain device, to them not using any device, speaking and expressing themselves.
Wow. That's amazing. And I worked in the DOE, like I said already, and I know for a fact that the DOE is very inside the box. It doesn't allow for creativity. You cannot be an individual, and sometimes you can't even question a teacher because of the ego, or because them thinking like, hey, I'm an adult to your child, how dare you question me? And I like the fact that you said that, because growing up, I was not a fan of school.
So many parents are afraid to take their children outside of the school. Especially parents that are home, they're afraid, who's going to teach my child? I'm not educated enough. I've had parents bring their children into Molding Minds Academy and had ACS at their door saying what they were doing was incorrect. No, you are in charge of your children. You are the one that brought them into this world, and you can teach them.
I agree. And plus, I believe that education starts at home, not outside of the home.
Yes.
Because children imitate what they see their parents do it or their caretakers, and so people should take that into consideration. I was going to also ask you, I'm assuming that when the lockdowns and the global pandemic was announced, that you already knew that something was off right away, or did did it take time for you to realize that we were being deceived in some shape or form by the government?
I'm just gonna be so honest with you. I was petrified. I was afraid. I had babies in the house. We were the family that walked in the supermarkets with gloves and masks until I realized, what the heck are we doing? Like, this is not right. Why is it? And then me and my husband did research. I mean, we were home all the time. We were doing research after research and saying, why is it okay to wear a mask here but not here?
Right.
Why is it okay? Or why are people getting shots but they're still gonna get sick? Like, nothing made sense. And once we got the truth and what this was, we were like, yeah, no, we're not gonna be fools. We're not gonna follow the sheep.
So you had like an awakening, I guess. Yeah. And so I'm glad that you did, because it seems like the whole lockdown, while it had a negative impact on a lot of people, it seems like in your case there was some kind of positivity that came out of that, because if the lockdowns would have never happened, do you think you would have done your academy?
100% no.
Wow. So you see how things work in mysterious ways?
Yes. So a lot of people ask me, like, I even have parents contacting me, like, I want to make an academy. I want to do a tutoring agency. What do I need to do? What did you do? This is perfect for us to speak about this right now. And this is to answer a lot of people's questions. I didn't do anything but take charge of my child's life. I sat down and I taught my children. Now I have 5. So I have 5 at my academy now. But I took charge. And if COVID didn't happen and the pandemic didn't happen, I will probably be without a job, because they took away my child's village exemption, and just teaching my children at home. I wouldn't have this academy. But it grew from 4 students to now almost 80.
Right. Wow. I am so happy for you. And I'm also happy for the children that get to be with you, because we need more people like yourself. Because unfortunately, as we saw, a lot of the people inside the school system, principals, other administrators, some of them knew that something was off and knew the truth. However, I understand that people have mortgage and bills to pay and children to financially support. What is the point of being in a leadership position if you're not going to stand for the right thing?
Yes.
And we're supposed to be educating children, but by us staying quiet and not telling them, hey, something is off, the government is not supposed to do that, while we're educating children in history and also educating them about things like slavery, the Holocaust. Well, don't you think that as an educator, you should see that there's some kind of parallels to that? That to me is mind-blowing, and I truly do not understand.
Right. So within the DOE, what they want to do is keep the children. They want to keep them in a box, especially the ones that have special needs, the ones that are in District 75. They want to keep them mute. They want to keep them having all these disabilities, because at the end of the day, it all boils down to money. Vaccines is for money. Having people sick is for money. Get the vaccine, you get sick, you're gonna need to visit the doctors. You're gonna need prescriptions. Keep your child in the DOE. They need special classes. They need speech. They need OT. They need all these separate funding. This is what it is. It's all for funding. It's all for money.
Right. I agree 110%. Let me ask you, have you experienced any type of opposition when you initially started working on having your own academy, whether it was from, I don't know, government agencies or family members and friends?
It's tricky. I'm going to be honest with you. It boils down to, this really opened my eyes and who believed in me. And I'm going to be honest, my family were very much against what I decided to do. How are you going to have all these children in your house? You're not afraid of COVID? You don't have shots? You have 5 babies. At that time, I had my twins that were babies and my newborn in the house. How are you having all these children that are not vaccinated within your home or in your studio? Aren't you afraid? How are you not vaccinating your children? What kind of mother are you? Well, my own blood was my own blood.
Wow.
And families outside were never against. To me, it was more like close family members, not people from outside. The people outside always cheered me on. Always.
Wow. You know what's funny? That other people that have come here have expressed having family members and friends oppose them. And it's so funny how sometimes a stranger can be your biggest supporter.
Yes.
And you would think that it would be otherwise, right? But I think, greatness comes with some kind of opposition, because that motivates you to push forward, and not just to like, for the purpose of like showing them, but it's like you're basically leading by example, because you did what they thought that you couldn't do. And even if they're not able to tell you right now to your face, hey, Arlene, I'm so proud of you, I'm pretty sure deep inside they must be thinking, oh, she did it anyways, even though we were criticizing her, trying to stop her, whatever. So you should definitely be proud of yourself. And I think those are the qualities of a leader, that regardless if people oppose you or call you crazy, call you names, you continue to push forward, because we need people like you to teach children, because the school system is not doing it. And unfortunately, in some cases, even some of the parents are not doing it because of fear, ignorance, or whatever the case might be. Let me see. My last question to you is not necessarily a question. It's more so, what is your final message to the world?
Take charge. Take charge in your children's lives, their education, and your own life. Don't let anyone tell you what to do.
I agree. So Arlene, thank you so much. We will put at the end of this video where people can come contact you and find you, for those parents that, again, are looking into another alternative. Just know that you're not alone. There's many other mothers like Arlene that are taking charge, and understand that you had your child. It is your child. Your child is not government property. And also understand that the school system is benefiting from dumbing down your children, because in order for them to take control of the whole population, they have to start with the most precious and innocent, which are the children, which are the next generations to come. So thank you so much, Arlene, for being here and for all the information that you share. And I hope that it serves well, and that someone can find your video and listen to what you have to say and get inspired, motivated to take the proper steps in order to educate and mold the mind of their own kids.
Yes.
So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.